Awesome. Hello, guys. So I have Trish Seidel with me today, who's like the hottest name in content operations on LinkedIn currently. So I'm
You
extremely
flatter me.
excited to have that conversation. No, seriously, like your recent post on LinkedIn, like obviously went viral. Like I have so many questions. I think everyone's super, super curious about that.
Mm,
Yeah, you mentioned you're publishing 25 posts per week, so that's 100
yeah.
blog posts per month. I had a look at your blog. They're
Mm-hmm.
like really super detailed B2B SaaS
Yeah.
posts. And you said you're doing that in 4 hours, per
Yeah.
post. So I'm like super, super curious about the whole process and how you managed to get these amazing results. I also had a look at your Ahrefs. It seems like within less than a year, you had 5x to your traffic.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's also amazing. We did
Yeah.
something similar, but not like that fast. We
It's
had a
been a
bit of
journey.
runway. Cool. So yeah, let's just kind of start from the beginning. What is Springly actually? And I'm curious, I noticed you're focusing on the nonprofit niche. So,
Mm-hmm.
why did you pick that one?
So Springly is an all-in-one software to help nonprofit organizations spend more time on their mission and less time on their administrative tasks. So
Hmm.
basically our goal is to help people who help people. We work exclusively with nonprofit organizations because they need as much help as they can get. They do so much with so little. They're always struggling for time, resources, volunteers, funding, and all of that kind of falls back onto the heavy administrative tasks that nonprofits have.
Hmm.
They're experts in their missions, but they're not necessarily expert business owners, and that's totally legitimate. And so our software, what Springly does, is we try and give them a platform that has all of the tools that they need in one place, including a CRM, membership and donor management, accounting system, communication management, website creation, online store, event management, etc., all in one place that they can, focus back on their mission and have and save all that time. That's what
Oh,
Springly
wow.
does.
So
Hmm.
that's like a one-stop shop HubSpot for nonprofits, essentially.
Pretty much, but easier to use.
Oh yeah, that's a big plus, right? We're
Yeah,
HubSpot users, so yeah.
so are we, and we
Mhm.
love them dearly. But nonprofits again need
Yeah.
something simple, quick, and efficient to put into place. They have better things to do with their time than play around with software, and so that's why we've made it that way.
Absolutely. And how long have you been working with with Springly, and like when did you realize that content is the thing that you want to really focus on and invest in?
So I've been with Springly almost 4 years. I'm coming up my 4 year anniversary in September. So about 3.5 years. And the reason that we started focusing on content so much is because we basically failed at everything else. This comes out of a not a deep failure, but a frustration basically of
Mm.
that, Springly is a sub brand of a European company, and we were new in the United States market. And we were trying to do everything we could to kind of copy and paste from one marketing strategy to another in this new market, which is the United States. We were trying ads, which were too expensive. We were
Oh, yeah.
trying pay per lead, which wasn't specific enough. We weren't converting anyone. We were trying all these different channels to try and get these kind of quick wins, the low hanging fruit, and it ended up being too expensive, taking too long, and not giving us any of the results that we needed. And we were in the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Wow.
So as you can imagine, we came out with a lot of frustration. We didn't really know what to do. And so what does one do when you're in marketing and you need to go back to the basics? You go back to content, you go back to SEO, because even though it takes more time, you know that if you do it and you do it well, it's going to work. And that's when we started, we built this very aggressive content strategy where we're publishing 25 articles a week. And now we've grown into, a big, content creator for the nonprofit sector, which is exactly what we wanted. And it's converted to our business objectives as well. So we're really pleased.
This is amazing to hear because like it also validates me so much. I feel we made the same decision after like a lot of frustration with other channels.
Oh yeah.
And just, we hired a consultant who was kind of like a fractional VP of marketing at some point because we were so
Mm,
frustrated. He kind of pointed out the obvious, like, why don't you guys focus on what is already working for you?
exactly.
And at that point, we were only publishing one blog post per week.
That's
So
exactly what we were doing. Exactly what we were
yeah.
doing. And exactly it's the same thing. What do? Go back to the basics. It works, and as long as you can do it well, then it's gonna be okay.
So the question that everyone wants to hear answer to, how do you manage publishing 25 blog posts? So 5 blog posts per day. Like, what does this workflow look like?
Hmm.
And who's involved, especially like what roles are on your content team?
So, it has been a work in progress. So it did not happen like that. It took a lot of trial and
Mm,
error. We've been doing this for about 18 months now, so we've really kind of got it under control and under wraps now. But basically how it started is that we decided to take all of our content that we already had and divide it into clusters. So we
mm,
decided to build 6 content clusters based on the major features of our software and what nonprofits needed. So things like fundraising, membership management, accounting. And we decided to do all the keyword research that we needed to do based on these 6 content clusters, just so that linking was easier, that the clicks were logical, that the content was being circulated in the proper way. And that's what we started with. And then we hired an agency to do all of the keyword research for us.
mm.
At this time, it was just me on the marketing team.
Wow.
And so obviously we externalized that as much as possible. So we had an agency called Smart Keyword, who have been fantastic partners with us in this process. They provided us with about 600 keywords divided up into these 6 content clusters, and we just started attacking. We were working with full-time freelance copywriters, full-time freelance editors to first of all get our feet under us and start with 10 articles a week, which was already seemed like quite the challenge at the time for just someone who was myself, who was doing one blog post and I was writing it myself per week, to
So how
having
many freelancers to publish 10?
published 10. We were working with probably 2 full-time
Okay.
freelancers at the time,
Hmm.
and then one editor.
Okay.
And then obviously once we mastered 10, we scaled to 15, 20, and then 25.
Right.
And we've kind of grown throughout that process. And the key to all of this being done so seamlessly is organization. It is project management. We are not here to look at the micro details. Obviously, we're producing excellent content and we have visibility at every stage in the pipeline, but we are not, we are involved in the brief creation process, which is
Hmm.
the key.
Yeah.
Writing the right brief. It is only our team that writes all of the briefs, which obviously is takes some time, but once you get used to it, we're pumping them out, pretty quick. We are making sure that we have our hand in the beginning and in the end to make sure that we are doing quality control, which can be a problem when you're producing
Mm.
content this massively. So yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like we're kind of following a very, very similar process. So you have in-house editors. So you said that the brief creation and then the quality checks based on the briefs is handled in-house, while the
Yes.
freelancers are still writing the content.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Basically, we have so our editing process is a little strange, I guess. So we write the brief, it goes to our freelance copywriters who give us a V1 of the article. We
Mm-hmm.
do a first edit. Our goal is to only edit once. Sometimes you have to edit twice. That just happens, from
Yeah,
time to time, especially when we're dealing with really complex topics like
yeah.
fund accounting, for
Mm.
nonprofits, for example. So we do one edit, and it used to be me, but now it is our fabulous, amazing content manager, Katie Gray, who does it. And so we do one edit and then we throw it back to the editor who executes all of the comments that we've made. Our comments are not specific things. They're things like, this sounds awkward. Let's double check this fact for the nonprofit sector. This isn't conveying the right thing. So kind of giving general sectorial industry specific comments, because we
Mhm.
are the nonprofit experts. They're not, we don't
Yeah.
expect them to be. And so then they're executing all of those edits, and we are also and they're also checking for things like grammar, syntax, things like that.
Hmm.
And then it goes off to someone who publishes our content for us. We obviously use HubSpot, just like you guys do. And you know how tedious HubSpot can be when uploading an article and things like that, but they're the best, even if it is tedious. And so we have someone who does that for us as well.
Gotcha. So we're actually using HubSpot as a CRM. We don't use it
Oh,
for the
okay. You
blog
don't use
yet.
the
We're
CMS?
using WordPress, yeah. Although this is obviously like has its own downsides. Okay, so you have a person that manages the publications and
Mm-hmm.
like probably the final checks. We have that person too. We call them a
Yep.
proofreader, and she's doing an amazing job. Like ticking off all the boxes on the publication checklist before
Mm-hmm.
the posts go live.
Yes, there's a checklist involved.
Oh yeah, lots of checklists, but I'm still kind of still want to clarify that. So like for 100 blog posts per month, how
Mm-hmm.
many editors do you work with now? Um, and how many freelance writers do you have?
So I think we were at the peak of the 25, we were at 3 full-time content writers,
Okay.
and 2 full-time editors,
Oh
which
wow.
doesn't which doesn't seem like a lot.
No, that's a
But
super
when
productive team.
yeah, we were able to produce that many. I maybe we were at 4 copywriters at one point. You know, we had people come and go, but we were constantly in communication with at least 3. And they were able to produce a full article of, let's say, around 1,500 words in about 2.5 hours.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
It
based on
is
the brief, right?
based on the brief, exactly. So
Mhm.
this is where all of it comes in, is that in our briefs, and you guys have seen, you've seen the template,
Yeah,
is that we actually structure out the article for them as much as possible, as much is within reason. And so all they're doing is expanding on the ideas that we've already put into place. And so it's
mm,
quick for them, it's quick for us. And again, making sure that we have that quality control from A to Z. But it is still a miracle that someone can write a 1,500 word article in 2.5 hours. Like that still
yeah.
goes beyond me, and we are lucky to have them. So
How long does it take you to produce the brief? So the 2 full-time editors handle 25 briefs per week. So that's like roughly 12 briefs each. So that's roughly
12
two
articles, yeah.
briefs. Yeah, two
Hmm.
briefs per day, plus minus, sometimes 3, right?
Hmm.
So how long does it take them to do that? Do you know that?
The editors are for us to
Yeah.
write the briefs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For okay, all right. So the editors don't write the briefs.
No, we write the briefs in-house.
Ah, okay. So it's you
Hmm.
and the other
And
person.
our content manager, Katie Gray,
Okay. Oh
and we
wow.
have some of our interns that contribute to the brief writing as well, which is a great learning experience for them because it's kind of their first introduction to SEO. And so we write, first of all, we have stocked up our briefs quite a lot. So we have a
Mm,
huge backlog of briefs, which is the key, as well as
gotcha.
that, you know, in August, when we're all, you know, lamenting for things to do, wishing we were on vacation, it's brief writing season.
Mm-hmm.
And we produce a brief in between 15 and 20 minutes on our side.
Wow. Crazy.
Again, because we have the industry knowledge and because we've written so many articles, it's just so standard right now. It
Mm-hmm.
did not used to take that little time. It took longer before, but again, once you get it down and get used to it, it's quite quick. And as for the editors, it depends on how many comments we leave and depends on how long the articles are. So whatever our editors have told us that it can take between 10 to 30 minutes per article,
Wow.
which is
Still.
why,
And
yeah,
the
which is why
articles,
12 per day is quite a lot.
right. Yeah. The articles are like 1,500, 2,000 words long. That's what
Yeah,
you
in
said
between.
roughly.
We have
Okay.
some that are 800 words. We have some that are 5,000 words. This really depends on, on the content, the structure, and our competition.
Okay, so that all kind of adds up to what you wrote in the LinkedIn post, lead time for brief creation to publishing in an average of 4 working hours.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
amazing. That's crazy. So you
Yeah.
guys, you and your content manager start from writing the brief. That takes roughly 15, 20 minutes. Then it goes on to the writer, right? Or the,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then they send it back to the editor who just
Send it
make
back to us.
oh, send it back to you. You make the initial comments that are sort of industry specific, and then
Yep.
the editors kind of like polish the
Executes.
rough edges. Uh-huh.
Yes. And then
All right.
our publisher
Gotcha.
publishes it.
Gotcha. Wow. That's crazy. Do the briefs include images and links and stuff like that?
Yes,
Or
many.
oh wow.
The
So
link, so obviously the
yeah.
linking is a bit this is where it can be a bit challenging because some
Yeah.
of the articles that we want to link to haven't been created yet, obviously. And so this is where I think the challenge with creating that many pieces of content comes in, is that we're always, once we're publishing articles, even if we include all of what we do, is we include the anchors to
Mm-hmm.
all of the links. So even the anchors are there in the text ready for the link when
Right.
the link is available. So it's a question of our content manager. She goes back in, once a week, or I don't know how she structures herself, but she always gets it done, which is incredible. Is that she goes back in and is always relinking, updating
Right.
links, making sure there are no, 404s or 301s, etc. Making sure that all of those links are up to snuff.
Wow. Do you use any tools for that? Do you have like a plugin? Obviously not a WordPress plugin if you're using HubSpot, but
Hmm.
yeah, what is your tool stack? This is probably going to be the second hottest question of this interview. Apart from Notion, what do you guys use? I noticed this instruction in your brief, important terms and frequency to use. So
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
curious if you're using anything like Server SEO or ClearScope.
So we use Notion for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Notion is my life. I can't live without it. And so we use Notion for almost everything, just making sure that we have one place for everyone to connect to at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Our articles are actually written in Google Doc. They could be
Okay.
written in Notion. Honestly, they could be written in Notion. We just haven't moved to that part of,
Yeah.
haven't decided to optimize to that point, that part of the process, because, it's already quite quick. So we use Google Docs for the actual article. And then the tech stack regarding SEO is we used Smart Keyword, which was our SEO
Mm-hmm.
consultant. They have their own tool that kind of combines like SEMrush, um, Your Text Guru, kind of all of these different tools in one. And they were really good about giving us an editorial, like an SEO editorial brief, where they would pull out all of those secondary keywords, tertiary
Mm-hmm.
keywords, expressions, things like that, and how often they should be used. So what we do is we would pull that information from Smart Keyword, we would insert it into the brief. And now that,
Gotcha.
we've actually started using Your Text Guru as well, which has been a fantastic tool. It basically does the same thing. Um, and obviously SEMrush to monitor and do all of our tracking.
Right. So that was actually my next question. Like, how do you monitor and track your results? So you said you're using SEMrush
Yes.
for that.
SEMrush is our second lifeline.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
what
and we're
metrics do you guys track? Yeah, sorry, you were
Oh,
saying.
fantastic. So we actually monitor the progress by content cluster.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we're looking at things like position relevancy, and how much the cluster is growing, the percentage of visibility, things like that. But our most important metric is obviously the organic traffic. We're a SaaS
Mm.
company, and obviously we want our traffic to transform and convert into
So,
clients. And so we're obviously tracking our organic conversion in that sense as well. And SEMrush has been, fantastic to have that vision per cluster, also to
hmm,
help us see what cluster is the most useful for our target audience, because there have been quite a few surprises. We thought that
mm.
a certain content cluster, like about membership management, was going to be our most popular, but ended up being accounting. And so that helps us to produce, decide what content to produce more of, and what to focus on and prioritize first.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a great insight that one always needs to kind of look at what is actually converting rather what they were planning and kind of
Yes.
thinking would convert because there can be some surprises in content, totally.
100%.
Yeah, we had a lot of those as well. And just today I was having a meeting with our head of content and we were like, well, this is one of our top ranking articles. I don't know why, but top
Exactly.
converting actually, right? It's something that
Exactly.
we thought is like a secondary use case, right? It's actually not our main persona. And it turns out a lot of these people actually want a product adoption platform. So,
Exactly. Exactly. And it's been very revealing, and obviously because SEO is our main channel of acquisition right now,
hmm,
the conversion is our top priority.
yeah,
And so we're really focusing on content that converts. Before, when we were really scaling, we were just trying to become visible. We were just wanted to be
yeah.
present. And that was our goal. And our goal has then since changed. Now that we've mastered the visibility, we're present pretty much everywhere in the nonprofit sector online in terms of Google, in terms of SEO. Our goal is now conversion. And that's what we've been working on, recently in the past few
Gotcha.
months.
So you kind of went down funnel, Ashley, right? You
Hmm.
first focus more on the visibility part, and
Yeah.
now I had a look at your blog that the keywords are mostly tool related. So,
Hmm.
best CRM, best yeah,
Exactly. We're looking
accounting. Yeah.
definitely going towards the bottom of the
Mm,
funnel now that we've kind of gotten, visible on those larger topics,
gotcha.
definitely on the top end for sure.
Mm. Yeah.
That's part of our expansion into the United States is that, when we're in a very competitive market, the United States is a very competitive market. At one point, when your brand is so new, we just really needed to be present. That was our main goal, was just to have Springly be understood and have it be a household name in a way, and just
Mm.
like, oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've definitely read their articles. And now it's our focus is to, okay, now that we're out there, how do we convert those people that we want to help?
Yeah, I mean, that's super interesting. And it's actually like a double-edged sword or kind of catch-22 situation. Because as a new brand, you want to put yourself out there and become more visible in terms of SEO. On the other hand, you want to sort of put money on the table, right? So you
Mm,
want to attack the bottom of the funnel keywords. We kind of did a mix of both. We went after the bottom of the funnel keywords first. So,
mm,
all the tools, alternatives, competitors, keywords, the ones that were like the most relevant and important at that time. Now we expanded that. The market has also changed so much in three
mm,
years that we have a lot more ground to cover. But at the same time, we did cover more of the like top of the funnel keywords to gain more visibility. That in turn can be quite challenging for a new
mm.
domain, right? Because when you still don't have the domain authority, some of these keywords are very competitive. Do you like tackle this in any particular way? Like, say,
Mm.
focusing on the more long-tailed keywords?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm,
That was one of our criteria when we worked with Smart Keyword and
right,
in the SEO agency, was to get as niche specific as we could.
right.
And we did start with our bottom of funnel keywords, and we were having the hardest time ranking, because we had no domain authority. We were so
Mm,
new. Our website was published, I think, and we started attacking those bottom of funnel keywords right away. And with COVID and everyone being, thrown up in the air and turned around and backwards and sideways, plus the new domain, plus our blog at that point was on a subdomain,
mhm.
actually. And it was when we moved our blog off the subdomain that we really were able to get traction. So definitely do that.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
kind of we're cutting ourselves off at the knees right at the beginning. But we were having the hardest time ranking on those bottom of funnel keywords. And we found that getting the long tail at the very top of the funnel was kind of were quick wins for us.
Okay.
And we were able to use that to propel ourselves and give us enough authority to then gain some positions on those really important, BOFU keywords right at the end.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So getting that authority first and like getting the foot
Mm,
in the door using these long-tailed keywords. That's super
oh yes,
smart. Also, just
absolutely.
kind of one last question. What are your next steps? And like, are you doing anything right now to amplify the content further? Like, say, um, distributing it through particular channels that you think could be another playbook to steal, or or do you have plans to produce posts programmatically? What are the next steps for your team?
So the next steps is that we've actually scaled back from the 25 articles per week. And now we're producing about, we've kind of gone back to 10 just in the last
Okay.
few weeks. Because we were so aggressive for so long that now we want to go back and polish off and optimize all of those articles that we
Mm,
published, from a year and a half
updating.
ago to now. Exactly.
Mm,
So what we
yeah.
did was we were kind of set it and forget it. Again, that idea of visibility instead of conversion. And now that we're focused back on conversion, it's time to go back into all of that content, polish it, refine it, update it, include lead magnets, making sure that we are, getting everyone's attention, and, doing it that way. So that's our plan right now, is that we are going back in and optimizing all of that content to make sure it's, it's perfect, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
and and yeah, that's our main goal right now, is that, we are still a team of, I guess, we're on Springly, we're a team of two. We are part of a
Mm,
global marketing team, and so we are only two people, and so right now that's our main focus. But we're also producing, some incredible webinars coming up that is recycling all of this fabulous content that we've created in that
gotcha.
longer form. So
Yeah.
we're going to be producing 4 webinars this year for free for nonprofit organizations. The first one is the visit is about including improving your nonprofit's online visibility, which is going to take a lot of that content from our communication and marketing, nonprofit communication and marketing cluster, and it's going to put it into another format. So recycle, repurpose, reuse.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that. We're kind of it's so funny how similar our sort of thinking must have been, clearly, because we're also running webinars that are based on our top converting keywords this
Exactly.
year. And we also decided to devote like a significant part of our editor's time to content updates. I'm also involved in this myself. The head of content is involved in this, like our, growth manager is involved in this.
Exactly.
Presumably you guys are going to be doing a lot of that yourself because you have the industry knowledge, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. I'm running the webinars along with our content manager, Katie. And yeah, the idea is that, we are the nonprofit experts and we also happen to work in marketing. And so we have, the perfect two hat system in order
Yeah.
to make that, to make that possible.
I feel like you guys should, run workshops in productivity for other marketing teams because you're so
I'm a
insanely
I'm a type
productive.
A. I like to be organized. I like it. I like a list.
I can imagine. So for the writers, because these are the only freelancers really on the team, like how do you find them? I don't know if you
Mm,
have a lot of attrition or a lot of changes in that little team of three, but
yeah. I
where is the
mean,
best place to find good writers?
I think this is the challenge that most people are going to
Mm,
face. I think human challenges and management challenges is like the biggest wrench, I guess, in this pipeline is that, we're all human. You know what I mean? Working
mm.
with humans is hard because we get sick, we get tired, we get burnt out, things happen, people have babies and they have sick kids.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that this is the hardest part. And so we have been able to find our freelancers on Upwork.
Hmm.
And we got really lucky to find the right one right away. We were working with a freelancer, Blake Moore, and Philip Mandel of Mandel Marketing, and basically they were the managers of these freelancers. So we basically hired them, and then they hired their freelancers that they knew, trusted, and have worked with previously. And so we had very little direct communication with our actual freelancers. We spoke to these two people who then communicated downwards to their people, which is why it was less of a management nightmare for us because we weren't having to deal with individual people. We were having to deal with one
Hmm.
person who was able to communicate everything downwards. That also has its downsides because if you had one little change to make, you don't know how long it will take to funnel that information downwards. But it was a huge time saver for us when we were, producing so much. And
Yeah.
other thing that we did and that I would highly recommend is that find your star freelancer, your freelancer who never lets you down, the copywriter who never lets you down, who is there, who is present, who is like who you would hire if you could, and hire all their friends.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Hire everyone that they recommend to you. Obviously, make sure you do
But
take all
then,
the steps
yeah, yeah.
necessary to make that, but never, not once have our like really star freelancers let us down with their recommendations ever.
Yeah, that's a brilliant tip. I'm actually like meeting one of our top writers today, so I'll ask him if he has any friends who may want to start doing this. It's quite interesting that some individuals, even if they don't have a tons of experience or don't have like the best resume per se in the industry, if they have
Doesn't
like
matter.
really high work ethic and the cognitive skills are there, they can just like progress so fast and
Oh
deliver
yeah,
such amazing results. Like we've done that a
absolutely.
few times. Yeah.
And I think that like we make it also because of the brief that we write, we make it a very easy job. I mean,
Mm,
copywriting is not easy. Writing articles is not easy, and I never want to give that impression off. But
yeah.
people look for SEO copywriters, they look for ad copywriters, because of the way that our brief is built. You don't need to have experience in SEO in order to write an SEO article, because we give you all of the SEO information because we have that knowledge in-house and we have our tools that support that in-house knowledge in order to write an amazing SEO article.
Yeah.
And so they're focused on the content, the syntax, making sure it flows and sounds great. And we have given them the SEO and that power together. I think that that's magic. And so finding not just the SEO people, but like you say, people who don't necessarily have, you know, um, SEO skills on their CVs, I found that have been the best copywriters for us because we can give them that knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't expect writers to be experts in
No,
nonprofits, for instance, or like in our case, in product management. So it's
exactly.
important to find people who are really good writers and can think analytically so they can understand your briefs, understand what you're want to convey to your audience ultimately, but they
Totally.
don't need to, have like tons of experience either in your field or in SEO per se.
Yeah. And I
That's
think the last tip, if I have to give one, is
mm,
just praise them. Treat them like they're an internal resource, because freelancers are, I think we've all freelanced probably, like I'm sure you have done it as well, and you're
yeah.
treated like an external part of the company, and it can be very discouraging, especially when you're doing so much work. And that our goal was to always make them feel included and part of the team, there's way less turnover that way, because there's so much turnover in the freelance
Oh
world.
yeah, absolutely.
um and you want to keep and hold on to those really good people, and treat them with respect, treat them like they're part of your team, give them praise, because they deserve it.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic piece of advice. And yeah, I really loved our chat. I'm sure folks on LinkedIn will love it too. Thank you so much, Trish. I won't be
Thank
taking up
you.
more of your time. And yeah, I guess the best way to contact you is on LinkedIn
Yes,
after
ma'am.
this. Okay,
Sure is.
awesome. Thank you so much.